done some research works on mangrove. Uh, so in my slides, there are some general slides on the mangrove, and after that I will present two case studies where I have done some work on impact of tsunami on mangroves. Probably those case studies may be more interesting to you. Let me start. What are mangroves? I know many of you may be knowing more about mangroves than I know. So, but these slides are for those people who have limited knowledge on mangroves, or probably they are quite new to mangroves. So when we go further, there are many definitions, but I have given some simple definitions here. Here I would like to highlight two very important points. One is that mangroves, they are found in muddy substratum. They are not found on rocky areas or in beaches. Some people think that along the coastline mangroves are found. No, they are found only in the areas where some fresh water meets the saline water, the intertidal area. So, and another point is that they are facultative halophytes. That means they can survive in fresh water also. But recently there had been a kind of debate. Some recent researches, I have given a reference at the bottom of this slide. Some scientists, they are of the view they are not facultative halophytes, they are obligate halophytes. Now, what is the difference between facultative halophytes and obligate halophytes? Facultative halophytes are those mangroves which can survive in saline water as well as in fresh water. But obligate halophytes don't survive in fresh water. So recent researches, they have shown that mangroves can survive in fresh water, but not for long. To some period they can survive. So that debate is still on. But since the common perception is that mangroves are facultative halophytes, number of mangrove associates are also found in fresh water. But my own experience has been that I have not seen two mangroves in Andamans, two mangroves in freshwater. There is no freshwater, much freshwater, exclusively freshwater bodies in Andamans. So to me, they appear to be something between obligate and facultative halophytes. Now, this is the most amazing thing about the mangroves. When I used to talk to IFS professionals or students, I used to ask them a very, very simple question. Why nature has given us mangroves? What is the need, ecological need of mangroves? See, I think that nature is the best bioengineer. They wanted to save our land so that biodiversity, terrestrial biodiversity remain intact. So at the interface of saline water and terrestrial area, they have given us some species which can not only survive in saline water but also protect the shoreline. Otherwise, because of continuous wave action, our coastline could have been degrading year by year, and a lot of terrestrial area would have disappeared. And for these species to survive, nature has given them a lot of adaptation. So I will talk about some important adaptations only. First thing, I will talk about the specialized roots. Mangrove have specialized roots. You can see, if you see Rhizophora, you will find both stilt root and prop roots. These roots are, specialized roots are needed for two very important things. One is to hold them in a muddy substratum. Otherwise, with wave action, mangroves can easily be uprooted. But mangrove withstand very strong storms also. And it is because of their root system. And second thing is that their root system is also that they absorb gases also from the surroundings, and also help in excluding the salt. This I will explain in my subsequent slide. So you will find knee roots in Bruguiera species. There are aerial roots which are found in Avicennia and Soneraceae. Very important point of these special function of these specialized rules about the gaseous exchanges. Because in saline water, the the muddy water, oxygen availability is very very limited. So these roots have lot of lenticels where exchange of gases takes place. So these are 3-4 functions of these specialized root. Then I come to leaf. Leaf also, because see, fresh water is very very limited. So these leaves, the adaptation is like that. They try to conserve water through different means. And if you see, they have got this kind of features like that waxy leaf surface, so that transpiration can be minimized. And also, some mangroves have the tendency that leaves try to avoid the direct sunlight, so that evaporation through transpiration is minimized. How mangroves they cope up with saline water? So there are 3 different mechanisms. Those species which are toward the high salinity side, their roots function on ultrafiltration. Means they exclude the salt. So only water is taken in, salt is excluded. In some species like Avicennia, Aegiceras, Acanthus, some salt is taken in and they are excreted through glands, salt glands in the leaves. And same is about salt accumulation in some species like Luminifera and another is Heritaria. What happens is that this salt is accumulated in the vacuoles of the leaf. So these leaves become succulent. So this is the adaptation in their leaves, how to deal with in the roots and leaf, how to deal with the excess salt. Now another very very unique feature of mangroves is vivipary and cryptovivipary. See, in mangroves reproduction is like any other plant. It's a pollination through insects and birds. In Rhizophora, wind pollination is also reported. But interesting part is that particularly in those species which are towards high salinity side, that vivipary is observed. Means the embryo starts growing when seed is still attached to the mother plant, and it breaks the fruit wall and it comes out as a propagule. You can see in Rhizophora mucinata here, the propagule have come out. It has broken the fruit wall. Same is Cereostegus. In most of the species like Brugueria, Cereops, which are towards high salinity side, vivipary is observed. And what happens when these propagules fall down, and situation, sometimes the environmental conditions are not favorable, so they keep floating on the water in the erect position, and whenever they find some suitable conditions, there they germinate. The another phenomena which is called cryptovivipary. Here seed start germinating within the fruit. It comes out, embryo comes out of the seed coat, but it does not come out of the fruit. It remains within the fruit. And when the fruit falls down, after that, in the favorable circumstances, that germination starts. So this is cryptovivipary. And normal seed formation is there in Xylocarpus granatum and Nepa, many other species which are towards low salinity side. Even vegetative propagation is also found in mangroves. Now coming to importance of mangroves, many of you must be knowing about the significance of mangroves, how they protect our shoreline. Not only they protect the shoreline, but also helps in cleaning the area. Lot of sediments and effluents which come from the terrestrial area, they are filtered here, and a better quality of water comes out. They also contribute lot of this debris, so that fish and other marine organisms can survive. In fact, these are the breeding ground for many wildlife and birds, and mostly for fishes and marine organisms. And this contributes a lot to the livelihood options of communities living around the coast, because they depend on fishing. Mangroves, they are sink for atmospheric carbon. In fact, the carbon sequestration in mangroves are 2 to 4 times more than the tropical dense forest, and they are source of timber and fuel wood to local communities. Provide livelihood means to more than 120 million people living around the coast through various means. In fact, ecotourism is also a very important means of livelihood to many people. Around the world, there are more than 2,000 sites which are very important from ecotourism point of view where mangroves are there. And valuation of ecosystem services as done by the UNEP, it comes to around $800 billion a year. Now you can understand, you can appreciate the significance of mangroves when it comes to economy and providing ecological services. Now these are the threats to mangrove, the coastal development and human activities. As I told you during my last talk, that human intervention has caused lot of uh, has done a lot of havoc to island biodiversity. Same thing about the mangroves. The human activities has affected mangroves a lot, like construction activities along the coastline, aquaculture, agriculture, salt production, and tourism related development. In our Indian government has taken a very good step as early as 1991 when CRZ came into force. CRZ is Coastal Regulation Zone. So all the areas which have mangroves and corals, they were put in CRZ1 category. CRZ1 category, there is a complete ban on development in a particular coastal length, that you cannot construct any hotel or you cannot do any construction activities except for certain permissions are given for defense and some other requirements. But most of the development activities were stopped in CRZ1 area, which comprise mangroves and coral reefs. Then logging in mangrove forest. This is another problem because local community depend on small timber and fuel wood. Then encroachment problem is there. Grazing is also common in many states. Particularly, it played a lot of damage to mangroves in Gujarat in early 80s. But after Gujarat put a ban on grazing in mangrove areas, mangrove cover in Gujarat increased. Then water pollution, of course, is another problem. Grazing and climate change. Climate change is, of course, you will find a lot of literature on impact of climate change on mangroves. But overall, if you see, the mangroves are very hardy species. They can survive. If sea level rise is there, mangroves can cope up. In storm also, mangroves can cope up. If carbon dioxide concentration increases and temperature increases, it gives a positive impact on mangroves. Their productivity increases. Of course, this is true up to a certain level of temperature and carbon dioxide concentration. So climate change is not going to make much impact on mangroves, except that their species distribution may be affected, and in some places the phenology may also be affected. But mangroves are hardy enough to withstand the impact of climate change. Now we'll come to the status of mangroves in India, but we will start from the global scene. See, as per FAO, this FAO publishes a global forest resource assessment. Earlier it was 10 years on a 10 years interval, but after 2000, the report is coming every 5 years. So latest report was published in 2020. As per that, there are mangrove cover is there in 113 countries, and total mangrove globally is 14.7. It is estimated at 14.79 million hectare. You can convert it into square kilometer. Mangrove forest in India are found along coastline of 9 states and 4 union territories. Then You can see we can broadly classify them into three regions: the East Coast, West Coast, and insular mangroves, that is Andaman Nicobar Islands. Mangroves are not found in Lakshadweep. Now you can see, as per the latest State of Forest Report 2021, published by Forest Service of India, uh, India covers around 3.34% of global mangroves. Most of you may be knowing that Forest Service of India publishes its assessment every 2 years. So if you compare the status of mangrove as compared to the previous report, that is 2019 assessment, there has been an increase of 17 square kilometers in mangrove cover of our country. Odisha, Maharashtra, Karnataka, West Bengal, and Andhra Pradesh and Goa, they reported some increase. Mostly it was because of the protection efforts and plantation of mangroves. And only Gujarat registered a decrease of 2 square kilometers. This is the 2021 mangrove cover assessment by Forest Service of India. Here, very important point you will see that there are mainly three states: Odisha, West Bengal, and UT of Andaman Nicobar Islands, where you find very dense mangrove. Probably you know the classification. Otherwise, I will just say the classification. Very dense mangroves means where the canopy cover is more than 70%. Moderately dense mangroves means where the cover is between 40% to 70%. Open mangroves mean 10 to 40% of canopy cover. So you will see only in these three states. Of course, Tamil Nadu also have got 1 square kilometer of very dense forest mangrove, but mostly Odisha, West Bengal, and Andaman Nicobar Islands. And if you see, in case of West Bengal, approximately some 47-48% of mangrove comes under very dense category. But in case of Andaman and Nicobar Islands, you will see more than 66% of mangroves comes in very dense category. And if you combine this with the moderately dense forest, so you will see it is around 80% of mangroves in Andaman Nicobar. Sorry, 92% is approximately 92% is under this very dense or moderate dense mangroves. So best mangroves you can say are found in Andaman and also in West Bengal. Now this is about the mangrove species diversity. This is based on the paper written by my research institute, P. Raghavan. So he has done extensive research work, and I have shared that his book, where I am also one of the co-authors, and one book by Dr. Kethiresan, who I consider at present probably the most knowledgeable person on mangroves in India. After people may, but I have met this gentleman. So I have shared one long article by Dr. Kethiresan, and also a book recently published by P. Raghavan with some authors, including myself. So as per that, there are 85 species of true mangroves. But if you see other sources, you will find many places it is mentioned around 70. Worldwide, there are 70 mangroves, because many authors, they don't consider natural hybrids as true mangroves. So then it comes, and there are certain species which are also debatable whether they are true mangroves or mangrove associates. In India, there are 46 true mangrove species, including 4 natural hybrids. I have given the details here: East Coast, West Coast, and Andaman Nicobar Islands. In Andaman Nicobar Islands, there are 38 species, and there are 4 species of mangroves which are restricted to Andaman Nicobar. They are not endemic, but they are restricted to Andaman Nicobar Islands. They are found in other parts of the world also, but they are not found in any other places in India. This is a list of true mangrove species in India. Now I will come to These two case studies, which I did in fact. First was in 2005. See, you remember in 2004 December, 2006, 26 December 2004, tsunami struck the eastern coast of India and these islands, and there was a lot of damage. So the then secretary, these are some details which you will find on the internet also. I will straight away come to. This is the impact of tsunami. So the then secretary, Dr. Pradipta Ghosh, called a meeting on 5th January, just after about 10 days. He called a meeting in the ministry. I represented, I was at that time joint director of Forest Service of India, and I was heading NFDMC. NFDMC is National Forest Data Management Center. So we attended that meeting, and Dr. Secretary wanted that some rapid assessment of the damage should be done. We were there, and Department of Space was there. Scientists from Space Application Center, Ahmedabad, and from NRSC. At that time, it used to be called NRSA, National Remote Sensing Agency. Now it is National Remote Sensing Center. So they were also there. So that time I told Dr. Pradipta Ghosh, the then secretary, that we are, of course, we will do rapid assessment, but actual damage will be known after a long time study. He agreed with my point, but he said, no, at present we need a rapid assessment so that we can take a look what kind of damage has taken place. So we did that. So what was it? That work was distributed. Some states were given to Department of Space for assessment, and FSI was given the eastern side of states, and for assessment of loss to forest cover and mangroves. But in case of Andamans, we were given only to assess forest cover, not the mangrove cover. Mangrove cover assessment was given to Department of Space. So I will show you the finding of that rapid assessment. So for that we use AVIS. AVIS is Advanced Wide Field Sensor. Its resolution is 50 meter. Of that time IRIS P6 was there. So we obtained this data, and in some cases even Econos and spot data was also used, and we could delineate up to 1 hectare. Changes we could delineate up to 1 hectare in extent, down to 1 hectare in extent. So these are the findings in brief. What we found that there was no significant damage in Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Pondicherry, and Lakshadweep. In Tamil Nadu, only in Kudalur district, we found a change of 40 hectares, 10 hectare dense and 30 hectare open forest. And in case of mangrove cover, 35 hectare of mangrove cover loss was assessed. In Kerala, 8 hectare of mangrove cover was lost in Ernakulam district. In Andaman group of islands, in Andaman portion, there are not much damage except for Little Andaman, which shows the damage of 258 hectare of forest cover. But there was quite considerable loss of forest cover in Nicobar district to the extent of 12,224 hectare, means approximately 122 square kilometer. And most of this was dense. Out of this 12,224 hectare, 11,670 hectare was dense, means more than 90% forest cover which was lost was under dense forest, very dense forest category. See, here I would like to tell you that when Forest Service of India assesses forest cover, mangrove is included. So this loss which we are showing here, it is inclusive of mangrove cover. But since we were not mandated to give mangrove cover separately, that was to be done by Department of Space, we have given figures of forest cover, including mangrove cover. I think if I am not sure whether I am clear in my saying, means this loss of forest cover was inclusive of loss of mangrove cover, but we didn't give any separate figure for loss of mangrove cover. So This you can see, table you can see what kind of loss has been there. So in Andaman group, only in Little Andaman, we found that loss. Now I will show you certain pictures. This is the Ernakulam. Here you can see this is pre-tsunami image, and you can see the loss of mangrove cover here. This is total 8 hectare was loss of mangrove cover was there. Of this, 6 hectare was in dense, and in open it was 2 hectare. Then in Cuddalore district of Tamil Nadu, here you can see this is pre-tsunami data, and this is post-tsunami. So here total loss of forest mangrove cover was 75 hectare, and when it comes to mangrove, 35 hectare of mangrove was lost, 10 hectare under dense, and 25 hectare under open mangrove category. That time FSI was having only 2 category, dense and open. Only after 2003 assessment, the 3 categories started: very dense, moderate dense, and open. Now when we come to this Little Andaman, maximum loss was here in Little Andaman, in the Andaman group. You can see this is pre-tsunami image. The entire this area, this is about 2.58 square kilometer, or 258 hectare. You can see there is air strip here. This entire this mangrove patch, forest patch has gone. Now this is about the Nicobar group of islands where maximum damage took place. Maximum damage was found in Great Nicobar and Kaushal Islands. It was quite significant in Kamota, Trinket, and Tarasa Island also. This is Bampuka Island, you can see. This was in Car Nicobar. This is a air strip here. This is pre-tsunami image of Kamota Island. You can see post-tsunami. All these damages you can see. This is lower portion of Kamota, somewhat middle portion of Kamota Island. This is the lower portion of Kamota Island. This is Kaushal Island. This will be more clear in the spot image. Here you can see very clearly how much damage took place because of tsunami. All that water had gone inside. This is Terrace Island. Then this is very interesting because this Trinket was a single island before tsunami, and after tsunami it is almost broken into three different islands. Upper part is almost detached from the middle part. Same is the middle part is almost detached from the lower part. This was the extent of damage within a period of just 10 days. How severe was impact of tsunami? This is in Little Nicobar. This is in Great Nicobar. Maximum damage was here, 6,915 hectare. Dense forest is 6,690 hectare, and open forest 225 hectare. Now I got an opportunity of doing some work in 2008-9. That time I was not in the forest department. I was managing director of the Andaman Nicobar Forest Plantation Corporation. That time ministry gave me some work. It was not the job of corporation, but because of my previous works, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. That time it was only Ministry of Environment and Forest. They gave me some funds for taking up a study on the status of mangrove and coral reefs after tsunami. So this work which I am going to show you I did this work uh, during that period. And during that period, Mr. Raghavan joined in corporation as a research fellow under that particular scheme. And you will be surprised that this fellow, Mr. P. Raghavan, now he's Dr. P. Raghavan, at that time he was not knowing, his knowledge about mangrove was almost zero. But within 1 year, he was so committed fellow, within 1 year, his knowledge was many times more than my knowledge. He identified many hybrids and Andamans, and 2 new varieties of mangroves he discovered in Andaman Nicobar Islands. One he has given after my name, that is Rhizophora micronata alokai. Another to his co-guide, Dr. Mohan. So that is species Rhizophora micronata monai. So a very committed fellow, and he has written many. If you search on Google, Raghavan has written many articles on mangroves, seagrass, and seaweeds of India. Very committed. Now he has joined ministry. He is a scientist in our Ministry of Environment Forest. Now, I want to show you this slide. See what happened. Most of the people think that because of that strong waves of tsunami, damage was there. Of course, it was there. But maximum damage took place because of the geomorphological changes which took place in Andaman Nicobar Islands. See what happened because of that earthquake, massive earthquake. Some portion, particularly the northern side of Andaman Nicobar Islands, they got elevated by some places more than 1 meter, some places around 1 meter. There has been upliftment of land in northern side of Andaman Nicobar group, and the land towards the Nicobar group of site had gone down. If you see in the Nicobar side, here the land has gone down by many places by more than 1 meter. And that was the reason, of course, that time I was not knowing, but because of that, long-term damages took place in mangroves and coral reefs. I won't talk about coral reefs. I will just keep myself with the mangroves only. See what happens if you know about the mangroves. Mangroves needs inundation of tidal waves to survive. So if the land is uplifted, what will happen? Tidal waves will not come, and mangrove will die slowly. And this exactly happened in North Andaman side. And in the Nicobar side, what happened was that since land has gone down, these species were permanently many species went permanently in the saline water, and they had no scope of going up. So you will be surprised that mangrove cover in Nicobar group was around 27 square kilometer, means 2,700 hectare. If you see the latest report of FSI, it is just 3 square kilometer, 300 hectare. All these mangroves have vanished permanently. In northern Andaman side also, same thing happened. We could not notice any degradation in mangroves when we did our first study in 2005, immediately after tsunami. But I will show you that for this study, I took images of 2007. How things have changed. And in 2011, when I visited these areas, I have visited many times, but 2011 was the last time when I visited these mangrove areas. I was quite surprised that new mangroves were coming up. So I will discuss that later on. So now let's see. This is the figures from the FSI that you can see mangrove loss. My study was basically qualitative in nature, but you can always correlate it with the findings of FSI. So this is the situation in North Andaman, where because of upliftment of land, mangroves, you can see all mangroves leaf and gone, they are dying. This is in Car Nicobar, where mangroves are permanently submerged in saline water. Now we will start with this. This is an area in the South Andaman near Port Blair. Now you can see, you won't see much changes between this slide is excuse me. Sorry. You can see this image is of 24th January 2003, pre-tsunami. This is of 11th February 2005, post-tsunami image. You can see there is a loss, but not much loss. It is not very, very visible. But if you see 2007 image, you can see how much loss has taken place, because this area was submerged in water. If you go to Bamboo Flat, it is very near to Port Blair. You can see yourself that a lot of area which is submerged, particularly the Shoal Bay, Right Meow, all these area mangroves have died because they were permanently submerged in saline water. This is, you can see this in Bamboo Flat, all these mangroves, they have died because of they are permanently submerged in saline water. This we could not capture during our rapid assessment time. Now, if you see this is a Sippy Ghat. I don't know how many have visited Andaman Islands. From if Port Blair, you go to either Chidia Tapu or Vandoor, you will pass through Sippy Ghat. So a lot of water came inside during that time, and because of that, what happened? You can see there is not much damage of mangrove. But if you see, if you see the 2007 image, there is considerable loss of mangroves in this area. So what I was telling to the secretary that time, that there will be long-term effect. But unfortunately, nobody studied this. I got an opportunity, I did, but nobody could continue, because I left Nuanuku Islands in 2011. After that, this study should have been continued on a temporal basis after every 2 years, 3 years, like that, or maybe 5 years interval. Now, this is about North Andaman side. So you can see there is not any significant change if you compare 2003 and 2005 imagery. This is 2005 is post tsunami. Very little change is there, but But now if you compare this with 2007 imagery, you can see degradation. You can see it is quite very, very visible. These are only few circles I met, but you can see in nearby areas also, you can see degradation here also. This all become now open mangrove. This is in Diglipur, North Andaman. There is no saline water here. They all dried up. Now this I was showing earlier also, this now if you see 2007 image of Trinket Island, now impact has become even more serious, even more severe. You can see the entire this portion has gone. Here also. This is because of permanent submergence of mangroves in this area. Of course, conservation efforts have been made, but still more efforts are needed. One good thing about Andaman Nicobar has been that here in 1986, any extraction, any exploitation of mangrove was banned. So this was a very good step which was taken by the then Andaman Nicobar administration, that mangrove will not be utilized for any purpose. And that is one of the reasons that you find the best mangroves in Andaman Nicobar Islands. SIA's notification has further strengthened those efforts. And of course, we need awareness generation among the masses. Some planting, nursery raising has been done. I will show you in subsequent slides. But my point is that some study should continue on how mangroves are now developing. I think we don't need massive plantation, mangrove plantation in these islands. Nature takes care, and it is happening in Diglipur. But I saw in Diglipur in 2011, lot of new flushes of leaves were coming. That means mangroves were reviving. But that was my observation. I have not put that into record. So some scientists, at least in forest department, research is not given much priority. But scientists who are interested in mangroves, they can take up some research projects on study of these mangroves and Andaman Islands. This should continue, in fact. I will show some pictures. My talk is almost over. This is an watchtower made of totally there's no concrete here. From here you can get a very good view of mangrove canopy. You can see how dense mangrove is here in middle Andaman. And this is followed by tropical forest, dense tropical forest. Another view. This is an interpretation center where children of nearby schools, they are brought from nearby villages also. People are, some meetings are also conducted with the local people. Of course, a very, very, very simple type of interpretation center. This is a mangrove nursery in Yerata, which was established in 2003. Here, the best part is that because since it is very near to the creek, the saline water keeps coming in and out with the tidal waves. So no watering is required. Serious tackle. This is a mangrove walk. You can walk through the mangroves. This is a mangrove nursery and plantation also. You can see this mangroves in that Yerata Creek. This is mostly Rhizophora and Bulgaria. This is Maya Bandar. This is another nursery and mangrove walk. This is the mangroves of Austin Creek in North Andaman. Can you think what will be the height of these mangroves? You will not believe the height of these mangrove trees are more than 15 meters. You will not believe me. If you go yourself and see, then you will believe. This kind of mangroves you will not see anywhere else in India. There are very good mangroves in West Bengal, Sundarbans. But when we organized one seminar, people from West Bengal Forest Department who are expert on mangroves, they also came. They also said they have not seen this kind of mangroves. Beautiful, wonderful growth of mangroves here, but they are undisturbed. They are totally undisturbed. There are no human activity. This is on plantation of mangroves in Mayavandar. When I was on a trip to Baratang, I saw this captured saltwater crocodile. This is I don't know whether how many of you have visited Baratang when you are on a pleasure trip to Andamans. So then in Baratang you go to a place where limestone caves are there. For going there, you will have a wonderful experience of going through a mangrove tunnel. This is a tunnel. So this the boat goes. Of course, there is a mangrove path also to go to that place. These are the limestone caves in Baratang. This is a very good case study for eco development. Because of this ecotourism in Baratang, lot of local community have got livelihood options. This is a place called Right Meow. This is the mangroves affected by tsunami, permanently submerged in Right Meow. This is a Bulgaria plantation. I put this slide deliberately. Here I will speak. How much time do I have, Dr. Maheshwari?
Sir, you still have 5:25. You started at 4:30, sir. Sir, please carry on, sir. We are not, restricting.
I also have some engagement. So probably I will be here for another 10 minutes. But I would like to tell some my experience. See, of course, I am not an expert on mangroves. This plantation of Bulgaria was done in 1995, 95 or 96. I don't remember now exact date. But I saw this many times in 2000. 2000 also. Then I saw this in 2007, 8, 9, 10, like that. I was quite surprised there was no growth. It was just like this. I was quite baffled why it is not. And mostly I was accompanied by the local forest people, forest guard, forester, range officer, like that. None of them could give any answer for that. Why there is no growth in this plantation? Then I observed another important thing, that a lot of Avicennia was there around this. But when I took a round of this in a boat, I didn't find any Avicennia. So I was a little surprised also from where Avicennia has come. Avicennia growth was very good. And there were 2-3 trees of Xylocarpus granatum also, which is also found towards the distal zone. Here, I will just break here for some other thing. I missed one slide in my presentation, that is about the zonation in mangroves. See, what happens is that mangroves have been, there is, what I should say, there is a zonation in mangroves, means where there is a high salinity, species are different. Then there is a middle zone where the moderate salinity, here also species are different. And then there is a distal end, which is towards the landward side. Here also species of mangroves are different. But of course, the latest view has it that zonation of mangrove is not very, it's quite flexible. I mean, they say there is no zonation in the world. Many places are there where there is no zonation by mangrove, but India, you can see 3 zones. The proximal zones, which is zone of high salinity, where species like Rhizophora, Bruguera, Xerosteggles are found. Then there is a middle zone and there is a distal zone. So Bruguera, this particular species belong to a high salinity zone. So then I found that there are, near this place, there are some 4 or 5 houses from where that the water they are using for their household things like cleaning utensils, washing clothes, like that. That water was coming down because that salinity was disturbed. So Bruguera could not come up. No growth in this. Quality of this plantation was very poor, but it was a very good condition for Avicennia to come up. From where somewhere propagules of Avicennia came, and they established themselves here. I don't know how many of some of you must be from Maharashtra. If you travel from Mumbai to Nasik, then you will find a lot of Avicennia towards the along the sea coast. This has come up because of the disturbed ecology of that area. Because if this sea water is polluted because of anything, or there is a influx of more fresh water, species like Avicennia, Soneraceae, they come up. If some of you visit Andaman Nicobar Islands, you go to Maya Bandar. There also you can see. When you enter the urban area, there around the creeks you will find a lot of Avicennia coming up because of that water is coming from the urban area. But if you go a little away from the Maya Bandar, you will find very good growth of Rhizophora, Bruguera, Xerosteggles, all these species. So here I noticed this thing. And if you go to just about some 500 meters from this area, you will find very good growth of Rhizophora. Because no fresh water is coming there. No polluted water is coming there, I would say. So this is all about my presentation. Now, I invite you for any discussion, any suggestion.
Sure, sir. Thank you very much, sir. And of course, you have done it well in time. Sir, we do have a couple of questions, and we do have just a few minutes left, and we can take a few of them. Dr. Gupta is asking, sir, are there any use of mangroves in plywood industry? Have you noticed or?
No, because mangrove is not a softwood. For plywood industries, you need a very strong timber, and In Andaman Nicobar Islands, they are very good species for plywood. So I don't think mangrove is used for plywood, and it should not be. Supreme Court in its interim order also said no forest produce of Andaman Nicobar Islands will be taken out of these islands. They will be used only for consumption of local people. And moreover, when I say that there is a total ban, we should never think of any commercial utilization of this very important ecological resource. Even if there is some use of timber, timber is for poor people only. It's not a very hard, very good hardwood, but and it's a good fuel wood also. But it should not be used because that security to our coastline is more important than any commercial utilization.
Certainly, sir. And from your previous presentation, you also illustrated that whatever furniture the local communities or the people inhabiting in the islands can make, but they cannot take it outside from the islands. Sir, there is another question from Dr. Singh. He is asking, sir, land submerged or destroyed due to tsunami will be restorable artificially or naturally?
Naturally, it cannot be reclaimed. But land which is, mangroves are coming up, but the land which is submerged, it can be done if good technology is there. But why we need this? See, tsunami is a natural calamity. Nature has done it. Nature has done it, and I strongly believe that nature always do things with some purpose. There may be some purpose behind it. We human beings always think what kind of damage. In fact, I have a little discussion, arguments with the then secretary on this. When lot of things were happening to reconstruct the area. Lot of fund was that time pumped into Andaman Nicobar Islands. Lot of sea walls were created, which are always harmful. So I don't think there is a need for a reclamation. Let us leave these islands to the nature. Human intervention must be minimum. And again, I will say that tsunami is a natural phenomenon. So let us accept it. Nature will certainly take care of everything. I have not touched that coral reef part. You will be surprised that beautiful corals have come up after the destruction. You go to many places. Of course, that distribution has changed. So nature is taking care.
Sure, sir. And Dr. Singh, another question is from the ecosystem services viewpoint, how much monetary loss occurred due to mangrove destruction during tsunami?
I'm not working.
Do we have a figure?
For me? No, I don't have. But if needed, I can send to you, Dr. Maheshwari, after finding out from he has done work on that. My student P. Raghavan has done his published paper also, but at present I don't have access to that information. But certainly it must be quite huge. Must be quite huge.
There are two more questions, sir. We can quickly take that. Sir, what is the status or extreme of saltwater crocodile and human conflict? Are there so many cases, sir, of saltwater crocodile and human conflict? Because our previous session was human-wildlife conflict.
You have touched a very debatable question. I have been a part of it. See, after my retirement, I joined Wildlife Institute of India, and that time there was a move by the government of India to look into this whether saltwater crocodile hunting can be allowed or not. The first thing is that if you see the data of this human crocodile conflict in Andamans, on an average, the death is less than 2% per year. Now, if you see the data of other states, how many deaths are because of snake bite per year? How many because of elephant attack? How many because of tiger attack? Where do Andaman Nicobar Island stand? And another thing, if you see the data year-wise, there are many years where not even a single death occurred. In some years, there were 3 deaths. During my tenure in 98 to 2001, I don't remember even a single case of human death. Only one death, and that too was because of the person's own fault. He was trying to cross a creek, and there was a crocodile. He thought it is a log. He stepped over the crocodile. There has been cases, but the problem was that whenever any foreigner dies, a lot of hue and cry. In 2000, I think it was 2010 or 11, one foreigner lady died because of crocodile attack. It's such a hue and cry throughout the world. How many of you know how many the local people have died because of this? Nobody ever thought of that. But because of this thing, the entire tourist industry was approaching the government of India that this crocodile should be killed, allowed to be hunted. Why? In fact, we have encroached their area. They have not encroached.
Exactly.
But we did. When I was in PCCF, my colleague, Mr. M.S. Negi, he was that time Chief Wildlife Warden, PCCF Wildlife. He prepared a very good document where he classified those creeks into on the basis of vulnerability. And lot of precautions, safeguards were suggested in that. And the overall objective was that we should learn to live with crocodile. Why should we remove crocodile from its habitat and we occupy their habitat? Is it correct?
Certainly not, sir. Certainly not.
So I was very much against that. And in fact, there was a lot of pressure. I should not speak political things here. There was a lot of pressure from Planning Commission. But I will appreciate the then director WIA, Dr. Vinod Mathur. He stood very firmly on that. And WIA did not recommend it.
Certainly, sir.
Why should we hunt a crocodile just because of those? Just please. Next question.
Compared to the other large carnivores and human-wildlife conflict cases, that is, we can say that it's negligible in terms of.
It's negligible.
Certainly, sir. And so there are two more questions by Dr. Pushpa. She is asking, sir, are mangroves sinks carbon?
Yes, mangroves are carbon sinks. Their ability, I have given some supporting document. You can read in that. Their ability to sequester carbon is 2 to 4 times more than terrestrial forest. And see that carbon which is in the peat soil, in the mangrove soil. It as per one estimate, it is 20 times more than the terrestrial soil carbon.
Sure, sir.
There's one nowadays that concept of blue. Okay. Yes.
The last one for today's session is, sir, whether any restoration and rehabilitation work is going on in Andaman and Nicobar Islands?
I don't know the present situation because I returned to 2017. Plantation program was there. It was always there. Per year there were targets of taking up plantations, but I was never very much in favor of plantation. In Diglipur area also, I suggested to then DFO that in place of going for plantation, if we make artificial creeks in that elevated area with gentle slopes on both sides, what will happen? Because of the inundation of water will come and go, seawater will come and go. So the propagules from the existing mangrove, which are on the elevated side, they will establish and mangrove ecosystem will develop. In fact, I draw this idea from the work done in Tamil Nadu. It's that particular thing is called what is called that fishbone method of mangrove plantation. What they do is that they make artificial creek and bring fresh water from river through channels. In Andaman Nicobar Islands, since you have tropical forest on the peripheries, fresh water comes automatically. You don't need to bring in fresh water. So if you make a channel, inside the elevated area, it's already a mangrove area, so a lot of fruit stock will be there, propagules will be there, water will, and it will develop into a natural mangrove ecosystem. When we do plantation of mangroves, it is per plantation only. It's not the mangrove ecosystem. There is difference between the mangrove ecosystem and mangrove plantation. We can raise mangrove plantation, but it converts into mangrove ecosystem after a long period of time.
Sure, sir. Sir, that's all for the question. I think we won't, delay your other engagements there in London. And so it was really interactive, really delightful, enriching session. You have made, us really touching upon the island biodiversity, your previous lecture and the present lecture on the providing us an overview of the mangroves, because most of us are not from that background, marine biodiversity in particularly, but you have upgraded our knowledge. And sir, with these words, on behalf of the organizing committee and my own behalf, we express sincere gratitude to you for providing and taking us 2 sessions on the marine biodiversity, island biodiversity, and as well as on the mangroves. We are really thankful to you, and we really look forward to your similar kind of cooperation and guidance for upcoming academic and as well as other kind of sessions in future which the university may take up. So with these words, sir, thank you so much, and we look forward, and whenever we make a plan to visit Andaman and Nicobar Islands, certainly, sir, we will get in touch with you again.
Okay, thank you everybody.
Thank you, sir. So, dear participants, it was really a delightful session with sir. And so that was the end of today's sessions. And tomorrow we will resume under the same theme, that is the values in biodiversity conservation and its management. And we have scheduled, and tomorrow, of course, is the World Water Day. So the first lecture will be delivered by a very eminent scientist, Dr. T. Basanta Singh Saab. He will be talking about soil and water conservation technology for agricultural sustainability. Of course, this particular lecture was scheduled for the first theme on the NRM, but we have, take it keeping in view the World Water Day for tomorrow. Dr. M.K. Singh will be talking about in the following, follow-up for the after the first lecture on the forest resources and their conservation in Northeast India. And tomorrow we have a special day where we will also be enriching our knowledge on the advances in the wildlife forensics, importance of human interface in wildlife crime investigation. So that is going to be a really a great mixture of 3 different, themes in this regard. So we will take up these 3 lectures tomorrow. That is the second last day of our, training course. So we look forward to your similar kind of cooperation and interaction with our resource persons. And with these words, thank you very much, and see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.